Ever wish you could just sit down with someone like Eric Schmidt,
Oh, yeah.
former CEO of Google, and just like soak up all that wisdom
Mm-hmm.
about AI entrepreneurship,
Right.
how to navigate this crazy world?
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck because in this deep dive,
This is it.
we're doing just that. We've got a stack of insights from a recent conversation he had, and we're going to break it down for you,
Right.
focusing on how to not just survive, but thrive
Right.
in this age of AI.
That's right. And one thing that really struck me is how Schmidt sees AI as a tool, not a threat.
Okay.
He's not talking about robots taking over the world.
Yeah.
He's talking about using data to make smarter decisions in every aspect of life.
Okay, that makes sense. But most people don't exactly think about data as something,
Right.
Exciting or useful or anything like that.
Right.
What's the key takeaway for our listener here?
Well, think of it this way. In the past, we relied on experts or gut feelings to make decisions. But with AI, data becomes the foundation. It's like having a superpower that lets you see patterns and trends that were hidden before.
Interesting.
For example, imagine a doctor using AI to analyze thousands of medical records to diagnose a rare disease more accurately.
Wow.
That's the power of data literacy in an AI-driven world.
So it's not just about knowing how to code anymore.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how to read and interpret data to make sense of it all.
Exactly. Schmidt even draws a parallel to coding, saying it's like knowing how to read a map even though you have GPS.
Okay.
It gives you a deeper understanding of how things work, which
Yeah.
is essential for what he calls the antidote to AI,
Okay.
critical thinking.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So why is critical thinking so important in this context?
Yeah.
Is he saying we shouldn't trust AI?
It's not about distrusting AI. It's about recognizing that AI systems are created by humans, and humans are inherently biased.
Right.
AI can reflect those biases or have limitations or even make mistakes.
Mhm.
Critical thinking helps us question the information. AI gives us spot potential biases and make our own informed decisions.
So instead of blindly following what the algorithm tells us, we need to be able to analyze the information and think for ourselves.
Absolutely. And he has some fun suggestions for how to cultivate that critical thinking muscle.
Oh, like what?
Debating with friends,
Mm.
playing strategy games.
Mm.
Basically anything that forces you to think deeply and challenge assumptions.
That makes sense. So it's like we're training our brains to be skeptical in the best possible way,
Right.
not just accepting things at face value.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, technology can be pretty addictive,
It can be.
especially for younger generations.
Yeah,
Did Schmidt address that at all?
he did. In fact, he had this humorous take on kids growing up with computers as their best friends.
Right.
He advocates for a healthy balance, less screen time, more tree climbing.
I love that.
He emphasized the importance of real-world experiences alongside technological immersion.
Yeah. That's a message I think everyone needs to hear,
Definitely.
even as adults.
For sure.
But what about those platforms that are designed to be addictive, like TikTok?
Right.
Does he have any thoughts on that?
He does, and it's a pretty creative idea.
Oh, really?
He suggested incorporating more educational content into those platforms. Imagine scrolling through TikTok and suddenly learning how to code, or the history of the Roman Empire.
Wow. Sneak in some learning amidst the dance challenges.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Didn't he also mention something about a time for a break feature?
Yes. He believes platforms should encourage users to take breaks, reminding them to step away from the screen and engage with the real world. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Totally. Now, shifting gears a bit, Schmidt also shared some insightful principles for aspiring entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
What were some of the key takeaways there?
He really emphasized the importance of solving real problems, not just chasing the latest trend.
Okay.
He believes that true success comes from identifying a genuine need and creating a solution that adds value to people's lives.
So it's about being passionate about the problem you're solving,
Mm-hmm.
not just about making money.
Exactly. And he also stressed the importance of listening to your customers.
Right.
They're the ones who will ultimately determine whether your product or service is successful.
And wasn't there something about embracing failure as a learning opportunity?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He believes that setbacks are inevitable on the entrepreneurial journey.
Of course.
The key is to view them not as defeats, but as valuable lessons that help you grow and improve.
It's like that saying, fail fast and learn faster.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious about his thoughts on founder mode.
Okay.
What exactly does he mean by that?
It's about maintaining that initial spark of creativity and passion that drives you in the early days of starting a company.
Okay.
Even as the business grows and things get more complex, it's essential to hold on to that founder's mindset.
So it's about staying connected to that original vision,
Yes,
that drive to make a difference.
exactly. And that's not always easy as a company scales.
Right.
Speaking of scaling, let's delve into the Google story itself.
Okay.
You were mentioning how the founders, Larry and Sergey, had such a simple but revolutionary idea.
Yeah, it's amazing how they basically changed the world with the seemingly straightforward idea of organizing the world's information
Right.
and making it universally accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to imagine the internet without Google now.
I know, right?
I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of a clear vision and the ability to execute it effectively.
It is.
And speaking of Google's origin, Schmidt's own path to the company was quite serendipitous.
It was.
He was at a dinner party and someone mentioned that Google needed someone with his experience.
Wow.
It was like fate intervened.
Yeah.
He described it as a friendly algorithm matching him with his destiny.
I love that.
I love that too. But once he was there, Google's growth was explosive.
It was.
What were some of his key principles for scaling a company effectively?
He stressed the importance of prioritizing company culture, investing in your people, and focusing on sustainable growth, not just rapid expansion at all costs.
Right.
He also emphasized the need for adaptability, recognizing that what works at one stage of a company's life might not work at another.
It's like you need to be able to evolve and adapt as you grow without losing sight of your core values.
Exactly. He's a big believer in the power of company culture, calling it the invisible glue that holds a team together.
Okay.
He believes that a positive culture fosters innovation, loyalty, and ultimately success.
It makes sense if people feel valued and supported, they're more likely to be engaged and productive.
Absolutely.
But how do you maintain that culture as a company grows?
Right.
It seems like it would be easy to lose sight of those core values as you scale.
It's definitely a challenge. Schmidt acknowledges that. He uses a great analogy. You can grow tall without losing your roots, just like a tree.
That's a perfect image.
Isn't it?
So it's about evolving and adapting while still staying true to your core principles. But let's be honest. Is it even possible for a company as big as Google to stay innovative? Isn't innovation more of a startup thing?
Schmidt challenges that assumption.
Does he?
He believes that big companies can be just as innovative as startups.
Okay.
It's about creating the right environment, what he calls planting seeds in a well-fertilized garden.
So it's about nurturing that fertile ground for new ideas to sprout, even within a large organization.
Yes.
How does he suggest doing that?
One way he recommends is through encouraging cross-functional teams.
You mean bringing together people from different departments?
Yes.
With different perspectives and skill sets?
Exactly. The cross-pollination of ideas can spark some truly innovative solutions. He even suggests a bit of friendly competition between teams can be a good thing.
As long as it doesn't get too cutthroat, right?
Of course. But a little healthy competition can push people to think outside the box and come up with their best ideas.
Now, with all the different projects going on at Google, I'm curious how they stay focused. Did Schmidt offer any insights on that?
He emphasizes the importance of prioritization, ensuring everyone is aligned with shared goals.
Okay.
He also highlights the importance of regular check-ins and open communication to keep everyone on track. And, of course, there's always caffeine.
He did mention that Google runs on caffeine, didn't he?
They must have a robust coffee budget.
I would imagine so.
Right.
So, looking ahead, what's Schmidt's take on the future of AI? Where does he see it going?
He sees endless possibilities for AI in fields like healthcare, education, and pretty much every aspect of our lives.
Wow.
But he also stresses the importance of navigating the ethical implications carefully.
So ensuring AI is used for good, not harm. It's a powerful tool, and we need to use it responsibly.
Exactly. Which brings up an interesting question that a lot of people have been asking.
What's that?
Why didn't Google release a ChatGPT-style product before others did?
Oh, that's a good point. They certainly have the resources and expertise.
They do.
Why do you think they held back?
Schmidt explains that Google was more focused on ensuring the safety and benefits of their AI products before releasing them to the public. They didn't want to rush into the market without proper safeguards.
So it was a deliberate decision to prioritize responsibility over speed.
It seems so.
Interesting.
Now, on a slightly lighter note, we were wondering what Steve Jobs would be focused on if he were alive today.
Oh, yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
That's a tough one to answer.
I know, right?
But Schmidt believes Jobs would be pushing the boundaries of design and user experience even further. Maybe even venturing into new markets like health technology.
Interesting.
Jobs had that rare ability to turn the ordinary into something extraordinary.
He did.
It's hard to imagine what he would have come up with next.
I know.
Now, before we move on, I want to touch on Schmidt's advice on hiring and the concept of failing fast.
Okay.
What were some of the key points there?
He emphasizes the importance of hiring for potential and cultural fit, not just skills and experience. He also encourages embracing failure as a learning opportunity, adopting that fail-fast mentality.
He believes you learn more from your mistakes than your successes.
He does.
It's about seeing setbacks as stepping stones to greater success, not being afraid to take risks and experiment.
Exactly.
And that's a great segue into our next topic.
Okay.
One thing that I found particularly fascinating was Schmidt's discussion of microcultures within large companies.
Oh, yes, those little ecosystems that develop within a larger organization.
Yeah.
What did you find interesting about that?
Well, it just makes sense that teams would develop their own unique cultures based on shared values, goals, or even just their personalities.
Right. It's like having a company within a company.
Yeah.
Right. Each team with its own little quirks and ways of doing things.
Exactly. And Schmidt believes that these microcultures can be incredibly beneficial for driving innovation and creativity.
Yeah.
But he also cautions that it's important to maintain a balance.
Right.
So they don't become too isolated or start working against the overall company culture.
Precisely, you want to encourage that diversity of thought and approach. But you also need to make sure everyone is still working towards the same overarching goals.
Exactly. You want to encourage that diversity of thought and approach, but you also need to make sure everyone is still working towards the same overarching goals.
It's like a delicate dance, finding that harmony between individuality and unity.
That's a great way to put it. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Schmidt's perspectives on competition and deadlines.
Okay.
He's definitely been on both sides of that coin.
He has, and he believes that competition is a healthy force that drives innovation and progress.
Okay.
But he also emphasizes the importance of respecting your competitors.
So it's not about trying to crush them,
Right.
but rather about learning from them and pushing each other to be better.
Exactly. He sees it as a kind of symbiotic relationship where everyone benefits from the challenge.
Makes sense. Now, what about deadlines? I'm sure he's had to deal with his fair share of those, especially at a company like Google. He believes that deadlines are essential for driving progress and creating a sense of urgency. But he also cautions against letting them create unnecessary pressure.
It's about finding that sweet spot where deadlines motivate you without stressing you out.
Precisely. He believes that too much pressure can actually stifle creativity and lead to burnout. It's all about finding that balance, just like with everything else.
Balance seems to be a recurring theme with Schmidt.
It is.
It's about finding that sweet spot between competing forces.
I think that's a great observation, and it's a valuable lesson for all of us, whether we're navigating the world of AI building a company or just trying to live a balanced life.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought from Schmidt that really resonated with me.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
He talks a lot about how we use information, but he also asks a really thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What about how information uses us?
Whoa, that's deep. It is, right? And it's especially relevant in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information from all sides.
Yes, we are.
And with AI becoming more and more prevalent, it's only going to get more intense.
Yeah.
So as you continue to navigate the AI frontier, I encourage you to consider that question. How is information shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions?
It's a reminder that we need to be mindful of our relationship with information. We're not just passive consumers, we're active participants in how it shapes our world.
We need to be critical thinkers, discerning consumers of information, and ultimately responsible stewards of this powerful technology.
Well said. Yeah, that's a powerful thought to consider.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of another point Schmidt made about how we need to develop like a whole new set of digital literacy skills
Oh, really?
to thrive in this AI-driven world.
You mean beyond just knowing how to code
Yeah.
or use the latest gadgets?
Exactly. It's about understanding how these technologies work, how they impact our lives,
Right.
and how to use them responsibly and effectively.
So it's not just about the technical skills,
No.
but also about developing that critical thinking muscle we talked about earlier,
Absolutely.
being able to analyze information, question assumptions, and think for ourselves.
Precisely. Those skills are going to be more important than ever.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to be able to discern, fact from fiction,
Right.
to recognize bias,
Right.
and to make informed decisions based on solid evidence.
It's like we need to become digital detectives,
Yes.
constantly evaluating the information we're bombarded with.
That's a great analogy. We need to be skeptical, but not cynical.
Yeah.
Curious, but also cautious.
Speaking of caution, Schmidt touched on AI's potential in healthcare, but also the need to navigate the ethical implications carefully.
Right.
What were some of his key points there?
Well, he sees AI as a game changer in healthcare,
Okay.
with the potential to revolutionize everything from diagnosis to treatment.
Wow.
Imagine AI-powered tools that can analyze medical images
Mm.
with greater accuracy than humans, or personalized medicine tailored to your unique genetic makeup.
That sounds incredible, but what about the ethical considerations?
Well, he emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability
Okay.
in developing and deploying AI systems in healthcare.
Mm.
We need to ensure that these systems are fair, unbiased, and don't exacerbate existing health disparities.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but how we use it
Right.
and who has access to it.
Exactly. And that raises a lot of important questions that we as a society need to grapple with.
Definitely. It's a complex issue with a lot of nuances.
It is.
Now, before we get too lost in the ethical weeds, let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Schmidt's advice on hiring.
Right.
What did he have to say about finding the right people for your team?
He emphasized the importance of looking beyond just skills and experience.
Mm-hmm.
He believes in hiring for potential and cultural fit.
Okay.
He's looking for people who are eager to learn, who share the company's values, and who can thrive in a fast-paced, ever-changing environment.
So it's about finding people who are not only talented, but also a good fit for the company's culture.
Exactly. He believes that a strong company culture is one of the most important ingredients for success.
Which reminds me of something else. He talked about the concept of failing fast.
Oh, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
He's a big believer in embracing failure as a learning opportunity.
Okay.
He encourages companies to experiment, to take risks, and to learn from their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The faster you fail, the faster you learn, and the faster you can iterate and improve.
It's about having that growth mindset,
Yes.
not being afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. It's about seeing setbacks as stepping stones to greater success.
I love that it's such a refreshing perspective.
It is.
Now, shifting gears a bit, one thing that really stood out to me was Schmidt's discussion of microcultures within large companies.
Yeah.
It's like having all these little ecosystems within a larger organization.
It is. And he believes that these microcultures can be incredibly beneficial for driving innovation and creativity. Each team develops its own unique way of doing things, its own set of values and norms.
Makes sense. You spend so much time working with the same people, you're bound to develop your own little ways of doing things.
Right. And Schmidt believes that this diversity of thought and approach can be a real asset to a company.
Yeah.
But he also cautions that it's important to maintain a balance
Right.
so they don't become too isolated
Well.
or start working against the overall company culture.
Exactly. You want to encourage that diversity of thought and approach, but you also need to make sure everyone is still working towards the same overarching goals.
Precisely. It's like a delicate dance,
Yeah.
finding that harmony between individuality and unity.
Well said. Now, shifting gears a bit, Schmidt also had some interesting perspectives on competition and deadlines.
He did.
Oh yeah, he's been on both sides of that coin.
He has.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that competition is a healthy force that drives innovation and progress.
Okay.
But he also emphasizes the importance of respecting your competitors.
So it's not about trying to crush them,
Right.
but rather about learning from them and pushing each other to be better.
Exactly. He sees it as a kind of symbiotic relationship where everyone benefits from the challenge.
And what about deadlines? I'm sure he's had to deal with his fair share of those.
He believes that deadlines are essential for driving progress and creating a sense of urgency.
Okay.
But he also cautions against letting them create unnecessary pressure.
It's about finding that sweet spot where deadlines motivate you without stressing you out.
Exactly. He believes that too much pressure can actually stifle creativity and lead to burnout.
So it's about finding that balance, just like with everything else.
It seems to be a recurring theme.
It really does.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Eric Schmidt's insights, I want to leave you with one final thought that really resonated with me.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
He talks a lot about how we use information,
Right.
but he also asks a really provocative question. What about how information uses us?
Whoa, that is deep.
It is right, and it's especially relevant in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information from all sides.
Absolutely.
And with AI becoming more and more prevalent, it's only going to get more intense.
Yeah.
So as you continue to navigate the AI frontier, I encourage you to consider that question. How is information shaping your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions?
It's a reminder that we need to be mindful of our relationship with information, not just passive consumers, but active participants in how it shapes our world.
That's a great way to put it. We need to be critical thinkers, discerning consumers of information, and ultimately responsible stewards of this powerful technology.
Yeah, it's almost like information is a double-edged sword, you know,
It is.
in the age of AI.
Yeah, it can be a source of incredible power and progress, but it can also be used to manipulate and mislead.
Exactly. So we need to be vigilant to develop those critical thinking skills and be aware of how information is being used to influence us.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the main theme of our deep dive into Eric Schmidt's insights navigating the AI frontier.
Yeah.
It's not just about understanding the technology itself, but also about understanding its impact on society, on our lives, and on our future.
Right. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
About shaping the future of AI, not just letting it shape us.
Well said, and I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the importance of data literacy and critical thinking,
We have.
to the challenges of scaling a business and navigating the ethical implications of AI.
Yeah. It's been a whirlwind tour of Eric Schmidt's brilliant mind, and hopefully our listener has come away with some valuable insights and actionable takeaways.
I hope so too, and I encourage our listener to continue exploring these ideas,
Yeah.
to stay curious, and to never stop learning.
Because the AI frontier is constantly evolving, and it's up to all of us to shape its trajectory.
Absolutely. The future is not something that just happens to us, it's something we create.
And with the right knowledge, the right mindset, and the right tools, we can create a future where AI empowers us, not defines us.
That's a great message to leave our listener with. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And remember, the future of AI is in our hands.